Prince Harry is reportedly in very serious trouble. The Invictus Games, his one remaining badge of honor, is starting to fall apart. And insiders say he is now doing something extraordinary. He is crawling back to the exact same person he spent years publicly humiliating. King Charles. Yes, really.
Because Prince Harry has just got dumped again, losing another Invictus sponsor in a shocking scandal.
Sponsors are quietly backing out the door. Public support is thinning, and the funding alarm bells are ringing so loudly, even the palace can probably hear them from Windsor. According to commentators, Harry is now stranded. Organizers are reportedly struggling to pull together enough resources to keep the games running. The situation has apparently gotten so bad that Harry may have to knock on the door of the very family he made a career out of criticizing. Awkward does not quite cover it.
Boeing, which has been a major sponsor of the Invictus Games in Canada, has pulled out. And they're not going to be sponsoring the next event here in the UK in Birmingham next year in 2027.
To understand how Harry ended up here, you have to go back to 2014, back when he was still the lovable, popular royal everyone rooted for. He wanted to build something real and meaningful. He had visited the Warrior Games in the United States in 2013, watched how sport could genuinely transform the lives of wounded veterans, and had a vision. He brought in Sir Keith Mills, the man who helped deliver the London 2012 Olympics, to help turn that vision into an actual event. Together, they launched the Invictus Games, an international sporting competition built entirely around injured and wounded servicemen and women who had sacrificed everything. At the time, people genuinely praised Harry for it. Compassion, innovation.
Oh, message? Oh, from Michelle. How very amusing. So we like to watch it together?
Yes.
Let's have a look.
Hey, Prince Harry. Remember when you told us to bring it at the Invictus Games?
Careful what you wish for.
Boom.
Oh, really? Please.
Boom.
Real dedication to veterans. It was, by all accounts, his finest hour. But then, everything changed. Harry stepped back from royal duties with Meghan Markle, chasing a more independent life. And the moment he left royal service, the institution that had quietly powered him also stepped away. Palace connections dried up. The automatic prestige that came with royal endorsement simply vanished overnight.
A growing scandal involving Prince Harry and his last remaining genuine charity project, the Invictus Games. But is it really a charity project at all? Is it just being used as a money-making scheme?
The funding that once flowed relatively easily became entirely Harry's problem to solve. He leaned hard on corporate sponsors. Big names like Boeing and several other major partners stepped in to keep the lights on. But now those same sponsors are reportedly tiptoeing toward the exit, apparently uncomfortable with the cloud of controversy that follows the Sussex brand everywhere it goes.
Grifter, who is now calling on a boycott of the Invictus Games, saying there is something not sitting right with this charity. Charities that have something to hide should not be trusted, especially with so much NGO fraud being exposed in the last few years. And they are calling on Boeing and American Airlines to think twice before donating.
With sponsors hesitating and costs climbing, commentators are now suggesting Harry may need financial or symbolic support from King Charles himself, just to restore the basic confidence in the project, which is quite ironic, given that Harry built his entire post-royal brand around independence from the monarchy. And yet here the Invictus Games sits, still heavily dependent on institutional credibility. Without that royal stamp of approval, sponsors are apparently not convinced the whole thing is worth the financial risk of an expensive international sporting event.
What we have been hearing is that Prince Harry is really keen to get his father involved, which I can tell you now Prince William will not let happen under any circumstances.
Running global competitions requires serious money, serious logistics, and serious organizational credibility. And companies right now are being very careful about which causes they attach their names to. As the financial pressure mounts, Harry has reportedly been left with little choice but to quietly approach his father for support, hoping a royal seal of approval might bring the sponsors back. Meanwhile, the public debate is getting louder by the day. People are now openly asking whether the Invictus Games is still the pure charitable mission it started as, or whether it has quietly transformed into something far more commercial. Some are going further, suggesting the money might be flowing somewhere other than the veterans. Critics point out that since Harry and Meghan lost several major media deals, the couple has been searching for reliable income streams to fund a lifestyle that does not come cheap.
This is the very reason why everyone who originally worked on and set up Invictus no longer works there. Since leaving the royal fold, the foundation has become a cash cow for Harry and Meghan, and no doubt some others who are involved. It's all bubbling to the surface.
Some critics have gone all the way to calling for a full boycott, accusing the games of using veterans as a PR prop rather than actually supporting them in any meaningful long-term way. Sit with that for a second. The very people the games were built to celebrate are reportedly being used as optics. Supporters are pushing back hard, but the fact that this conversation is even happening speaks volumes. Harry's most beloved legacy is quietly becoming his most complicated one.
When they said Invictus is a scam, the veterans are being used for PR, privately funded faux trips with lavish accommodations, and Meghan's merchandising schemes. That's not how charities work.
And then came the numbers. Reports suggest the Vancouver Games cost tens of millions of Canadian dollars, while similar veteran sporting events elsewhere in the world run on a fraction of that budget, which naturally led critics to ask exactly why the Invictus Games budget appears so dramatically higher than comparable events. Some believe those financial questions are precisely why sponsors are quietly backing away. King Charles, for his part, is reportedly keeping his distance. The monarch is said to have no appetite for getting involved in anything that puts public finances or taxpayer money at risk. With the United Kingdom already feeling economic strain, any suggestion of royal financial involvement could become a very unwelcome headline very quickly.
The public's taxes footed a portion of the bill. According to tax returns on file, the public picked up half the tab for Vancouver, with the Canadian federal government contributing $15 million through the Veterans Affairs Canada, and the province of British Columbia contributing another $15 million through its Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Sport.
And then the foundation's own financial reports made things even more uncomfortable. Grants to veteran organizations reportedly dropped by 63%. Foundation income went up by 41% in the exact same year. Legal fees allegedly tripled with no explanation, and cash reserves kept climbing. Critics called it a red flag, and it is genuinely hard to argue with that.
People are a little upset about where the money is going because right now there's been a 63% drop in actual grants to wounded warriors, despite the fact that they have more money in their bank than ever from carryover. And in Vancouver, they brought in, it was around 62 million. Not bad. 50% of that was from the government of Canada and BC, meaning that was taxpayers.
And Birmingham 2027 is already looking like a disaster in slow motion. The UK government committed £26 million of public money to a city that literally declared bankruptcy in 2023 with an £87 million deficit. Boeing has already walked, and now Australia has followed, with the Albanese government quietly declining to renew a $9 million funding commitment. At this point, the veterans are the only ones still reliably showing up.
Invictus Games are scheduled for Birmingham in 2027. The UK government has committed up to £26 million in public funds, despite the city effectively declaring bankruptcy in 2023. It only exited that status in February of this year. With roughly 15 months to go, Birmingham has just 11 unnamed sponsors contributing an estimated £4 million combined.
He needs money. He needs sponsors. There's only 11 sponsors lined up so far, and they are all unnamed. Now, if you look at Vancouver, there were 44 sponsors, including Boeing.
There are also reports that qualified candidates declined leadership roles the moment they found out they would be linked to Invictus operations. Allegations of internal disagreements and staff walkouts have added even more fuel to the fire surrounding the organization.
Organization is in a bit of disarray, and qualified candidates were refusing job offers with the Birmingham organizing team after learning it was Invictus, citing the organization's reputation. Now, of course, Tom Bauer in his recent book Betrayal alleged that Invictus funds were directed towards private jets, 5-star hotels, and transportation for Harry and Meghan.
And if all of that was not enough, there are now reports suggesting some participants may be covering portions of their own travel, accommodation, and equipment costs out of pocket. Critics are asking how a games with this kind of budget can leave participants footing their own bills. Despite all of this, Harry is almost certainly not going anywhere. The Invictus Games is the last major pillar of his public identity still standing. Walking away would mean admitting it is over. So the real question now is whether King Charles will quietly step in to steady the ship, or whether he will keep his distance and let Harry face the consequences of choices that were, after all, entirely his own. What do you think? Should King Charles bail Harry out and rescue the Invictus Games? Or should Harry clean up his own mess? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And do not forget to like, share, and subscribe.